Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And Salmonella just released a brand new video literally 9 hours ago where it already has 1.1 million views. Like that's just nuts. Anyways, it's about Zhang Zongchang, the Dogmeat General. I am 100% pronouncing that wrong, right? If not, Zhang Zongchang, that's an awesome name. And I actually do know a bit about him. Count Dankula did a video on him in his Mad Lad series about a couple years ago, I think, on him. Let's just say that he's a colorful character. Let's put it at that. Also a horrendously brutal one, and I figured why not? Let's check this one out with you guys. So if you haven't already yet, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into it. Always a sophisticated start for Salmonella.
Hey kids, today I've got another character study for you all, a man known as Zhang Zongchang. In 1881, he was born into poverty in the Shandong region of China. His father was a head shaver, not a barber mind you. If a head shaver's a barber, then a ditch digger's an architect. He also moonlit as an alcoholic. His mom, meanwhile, was a literal practicing witch and exorcist, already a recipe for success. Zhang joined a group of roving bandits at age 20, as one does, right around the Xinhai Revolution, where the Qing dynasty was overthrown and the Republic of China was established. But in 1916, the kidneys of the nation's widely disliked monarchist leader done shat the bed, causing a power vacuum that ultimately led to what is known as the warlord era of the Republic. Yep. During this time, different regions of China were constantly shifting hands between a collection of separate military groups, all of whom were ruthless both to each other and to the people they ruled over. And through charisma, favors to the right people, and a keen sense of military pragmatism, our humble highwaymen soon came to be one of these warlords.
Yep, and all these warlords too would eventually continue to amass their power until there were a select few left. And then during the outbreak of the Sino-Japanese War in 1937, all these warlords would practically put their differences aside, especially against the communists as well, and as well as the Republican government led by Chiang Kai-shek, sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing that as well, and would all team up together to fight against the invading forces of the Japanese.
Zhang was quite skilled as a leader of war. After the Russian Civil War, he recruited thousands of fleeing white Russians, not beverages, but Bolshevik butchers, which bolstered his battalions and brought big bonuses to his bloodshed. He also made efficient use of armored trains, which proved to be highly cost-effective at transporting large amounts of troops and supplies. But that's not what you people care about. You want some clownage. Well, rest assured, Zhang was quite the character. Now, we all know the age-old debate between positive and negative reinforcement. On the one hand, if you treat people well, you'll probably get the same treatment back later down the line. But on the other hand, nobody's ever taught a tiger to jump through flaming hoops with just pets and temptations. And if you think that's messed up, that's because, well, yeah, it is. Circuses are fucking evil. But like all great
that's so quick.
leaders, Zhang knew how to appropriately apply both the carrot and the stick. As an example of the former, he defeated the forces of enemy General Wu Peifu largely by convincing members of his army to defect, with the promise that they could keep their original rank after switching sides, which he fulfilled. But then he was like, yeah, I don't know if my loyal men would be too happy about being outranked by strangers. Well, only one solution here. All my guys are ranking up. Problem was, so many officers were promoted that Zhang literally ran out of gold and silver to make new insignias. He was like, I
think he made them out of cigarette foil, right?
Gotta think about this. Went out for a smoke, looked down, hey, wait a minute, and had the rest of the emblems made out of the colorful foil found in cigarette packages. It's said that during the promotion ceremony, people would look down and notice their little star already had a rip in it before the event was even over. But hey, there's still a colonel or poobah or whatever now, they can't complain. On another,
I would love to have a little star here on my DU uniform, right? That's just slowly ripping and crinkling. It's like the greatest participation trophy, right? When it's made out of cigarette foil.
Occasion, he proudly announced that he would either win an upcoming battle or return home in his coffin. And though Zhang was many things, he was not a liar. So after he ended up retreating, his men paraded him through the streets in a casket while he waved and sheafed on a cigar. So you're probably...
That's just awesome. That's true military leadership, right? When you make a boast that you'll come home in a coffin, you know, saying that we'll either win the battle or death shall take me. And when death doesn't take you, you're like, well, screw it. I'm just gonna parade around in the coffin anyways. That's great.
Probably wondering why they called him the Dogmeat General. At this point, my head was swimming with lurid fantasies about him eating dog flesh, or wearing dog flesh, or eating dog flesh. Turns out, nah, he was just real into pai gao, of which the act of playing was colloquially referred to as eating dog meat. And also because he ate dogs. He was also sometimes jokingly referred to as the three don't knows, since he didn't know how much money he had, how many concubines he had, or how many men were in his army. Well, funny, there was some truth to the nickname, which did sometimes cause issues. Some were minor. For one, he had a lot of trouble remembering the names of the 30 to 50 women of all nationalities in his harem, but he got around this by just assigning them numbers. Number 4 is real flexible, 27 makes a killer quiche, watch out for 14, she's a biter, and so forth. Other times, things got a little more dire. Later in his career, Zhang became the military governor of the province of Shandong, and while the warlord life suited him, domestic affairs were another story. Rampant human rights violations aside, the whole thing was just way poorly managed. For example, while Zhang did collect taxes on everything from theater performances to tobacco examination licenses, relatively little of his extortions went towards his war efforts or anything practical, with most of it being funneled into vanity projects and his own personal riches. So how did he fund his army? Well, for those playing at home, it's time to take a shot, because Zhang printed tens of millions of dollars worth of paper money in the form of military stamps with no reserve to back them up. Obviously, massive inflation ensued, but
this would never be an issue again in history. Every government would learn from this mistake that printing money just increases inflation, and it would never be repeated ever again. Thank you, Zhang, for saving the economy.
He just said, insisted the stamps had a 1-to-1 conversion with real money, and continued paying his men at the same rate.
Perfect economics.
For them, the invisible hand of the market is no match for the very visible fist of the soldier, because they just kick old merchant ladies' asses till they accepted the currency at face value. But unfortunately, kicking old ladies' asses can't solve everything. In the summer of 1927, Shandong was hit with a famine caused primarily by drought. At the time, many people prayed to Zhang Xian, a folk deity, in an attempt to bring rain to these crusty lands. But Zhang Zongchang, he don't get on his knees for nobody. He walked right up to the statue in Xian's temple, starts bitch slapping it, tells it to go fornicate with its sister, and then has his artillery crew fire shells straight into the sky for hours on end to show that god who he's dealing with. Sources differ on when the next rain was, but it did.
That's, yeah, being an artillery commander and, just keep shooting at the sky. You'll eventually kill the gods. I really wonder, though, where the artillery shells landed. They had to have landed somewhere. I can't imagine if there's just some poor person who was just going about their business, hearing artillery in the back, just thinking, maybe they're doing exercises. And then a poor artillery shell comes down and completely ruins their day.
Eventually rained, so in the end, Zongchang got the last laugh. Speaking of which, our boy was also a renowned poet. Here's a piece he wrote about that very event. The sky god is also named Zhang. Why does he make life hard for me? If it doesn't rain in 3 days, I'll demolish your temple. Then I'll have cannons bombard your mom. Truly prophetic.
An amazing, probably massive mistranslation, but sure, why not? Bombard your mom. There you go. The new Call of Duty insult, I guess.
He's got a few other good ones too. Let me just dim the lights real quick. Yeah. This one's called Visiting Mount Tai. From afar, Mount Tai looks blackish, narrow on top and wide at the bottom. If you flipped it upside down, it would be narrow at the bottom and wide on top. I like that one a lot, because it's like he heard about metaphors without realizing they're supposed to have a second meaning. This one's titled Poem About Bastards. You tell me to do this, he tells me to do that. You are all bastards, go fuck your mother. Poignant. But unlike most poets besides E. E. Cummings and Emily Dickinson, Zhang was quite well endowed. He was often referred to as General 86, as when Zhang Jr. stood up straight, he could reportedly reach the length of 86 Mexican silver dollars stacked atop one another. Given a thickness of 2.4 millimeters, this would put him at around 20.6 centimeters or 8.1 inches. That's especially impressive given that he was likely malnourished during puberty due to both poverty and the 1896 famine. You racists. I thought of a few other jokes about this, but I couldn't fit them in the narrative, so I'll just rattle them off. Should have been called the Horsemeat General. When he got out of the pool, he was General 12. This one just says Dong Hung Dong. You get the point. But all great things must eventually come to an end. After suffering a series of defeats at the hands of his enemies and a subsequent failed rebellion against a quickly reunifying China, Zhang was forced to run away in 1928, bringing his mom with him to Beppu, Japan. His time here was relatively uneventful, except for when he shot a former prince in the back for trying it on with one of his concubines. In court, he said the gun just happened to go off while he was pointing it at the center of the guy's mask. For some reason, they're like, nothing suspicious here. Gave him the choice between 15 days in prison or a $150 fine. He chose the latter. Zhang's story
15 days in prison for murdering a man? All right. Okay, sure.
Finally came to an end in 1932 when he went back to Shandong not as a conqueror but as a visitor. Unfortunately, it seems it takes people more than 4 years to get over murder because he was unceremoniously assassinated by the nephew of an officer that he had executed. All in all, Zhang left behind quite a strange legacy, given the litany of horrible crimes that I've seemed to kind of gloss over.
Wait, having a reputation was brutal and ruthless warlords. Yes, I remember that. He was also notorious for his hobby of splitting skulls of prisoners with his swords and for hanging dissidents, from telephone poles. Yeah. Yikes. Okay. Warlord really is the right term.
Generally regarded as the stinkiest stain of an already messy portion of the tapestry that is Chinese history. The only remaining question is if one can truly separate the art from the artist. During his rule, Time magazine described him as China's basest warlord. I'll let you decide whether...
Basest? You mean China's most based warlord?
They're not, they forgot the DE. That's all for today.
Did.
Till next time, I'm Salmonella, and I'm hiding in your fridge.
Well, I'll be sure to go check it. Yeah, okay, what can I say? That's Salmonella. The videos go by so quick that, like, before you even get a chance to react, they're over. Hope you guys enjoyed that, though. Just a little fun little thing about the Dogmeat General. Thank you very much for joining me. Take care. I'll see you guys in the next one. And also, if you haven't seen it before, this is only the second time I've ever watched a Salmonella video. The reaction of the first one I'll put up below. Take care. Till next time.